Everybody, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to make a video today really to highlight the physics in Nautis Home. So I think when I did my initial review, it was a little bit hard on the physics, but actually after trying a few vessels, doing a little bit of maneuvering, as expected, the physics are really accurate as far as I can tell, of course, or they feel accurate. So I wanted to kind of prove that out by doing a docking maneuver with three types of vessels today. So I'm going to do the tugboat, the offshore supply vessel, and then this inland coaster here. So let's start with the tugboat, and we're going to do it just on calm weather, and we're going to do it in Rotterdam. So I'm going to start on this spawn point. I'm just going to pause this because it takes a while to load. Alright, so it takes about a minute to load it. Hopefully that will be optimized in the future. Here we are on just in this kind of area with a bunch of docks and ports, so it's a good place for us to start. We're in the tug, and I'm going to just start her cruising off here. Yeah, as you can see from my channel, I'm a VR technologist. I'm a fan of the technology, and I've been using it a lot. I really hope that they add that, because typical home user, has one or maybe two screens like me. And you don't really get that immersive experience that you get on a physical simulator, where you probably have a whole panorama of large screens around you, and you've got the physical hardware. But if you could get this to work in VR, I think that would give everybody just a really good experience of how immersive it could be. It would I think give people a better feeling and muscle memory for using the controls. I'm going to just bring this up, looking for a view here. So it's not remembered my view since the last time I started it. Nope. It only remembers the views maybe per ship. So I haven't been in this tug for a while. Let's close the radar. So the little challenge I want to give myself is to dock in, if I zoom out here, you'll see there's a little dog leg in here, and I'm going to dock these three types of vessels in that space there. Just seeing a very interesting LOD going on that. That's interesting. It's interesting rendering technology they've got. So let's just bring this tug in. Tug should be easy. I haven't practiced this with a tug. And it won't take us long to power in there. So the idea is just to get into this berth one way or another. So one thing I noticed is that we don't really have any fenders or the usual tires or the big kind of industrial fenders you get alongside here. So I'm not going to do this, let's say, very realistically. What I want to highlight with this is that every vessel has unique effectively hydrodynamics and weight and inertia. So we can see the tug here is very reactive to my control inputs. We can see here that it's leaning over under the force of its significant propulsion. Not giving anybody a smooth ride here. So I think I could probably just do this on the azimuthing thrusters. And of course the thing that every helms person needs to get used to is really the momentum and inertia of every vessel type. So this is something, I'm not an expert. I can fairly well maneuver a 45-foot yacht on holiday into a berth, but I'm certainly not a seasoned helms person on any of these vessels. So yeah, when you're maneuvering, you always need to come up with a kind of plan. So I'm going to try and turn this in there. One thing that you notice is that even when you straighten up, it will still keep swinging, so you've still got significant rotation there. Now I've no idea what I'm doing, so the thing about the azimuth thing is you have to turn it around like this to stop. There's no reverse. It's so punchy. It immediately starts to rotate around like that. It's rotating so I don't hit the bow. Wow, it rotates much more than I would have expected. Takes a bit of thinking to get these azimuthing ones to do what you want. So I should really try and stop it now. It does a lot of rotation. So I'm not too sure if that's prop walk or what it is. Use the thruster here. Sorry, I am screwing this up royally. It's very powerful, which is good. I've kind of stopped the forward movement, which is good. And then we'll bring her in the aft as well. I still want a little bit of aft power here. Too much aft swing. Wow, lots of reverse. So I'm not too sure where it got that reverse component from there. That is weird. It's trying to rest this rotation again. So it must be prop walk. Forward movement as well, which is surprising. Come on. So I'm not quite too sure of the behavior here. Ah, I know. It's because I'm expecting these to azimuth round instantly, but they don't. So you can see how difficult that is. Right, good scratcher there. So yeah, I'm kind of expecting these to turn instantly, and that's not the case. So this is what helms person needs to be aware of. So now that they're rotated like that, so you're still going backwards. Don't quite understand that. Yeah, it's a fine mess. So as you can see, it's not that easy. And this is on one of the ones that I would thought would be the easiest one. So I'm just going to use the bow thruster, bring it in, hold it on the stern here. Why not? Oh no, right, it's reset. So I could turn them out. You see, it's taking a while. And these are big thrusters, that's why it takes a while for these to turn. But this is something you'd need to learn, is really how long does it take for these thrusters to react. And I'm assuming if we're resting and turning there. So it's just too punchy. Nice scratcher there. Right, that'll do. So we're not stopped, but I would, get the lines on, which having lines that you could attach, of course, will help you bring a vessel in and tie it up a bit more accurately. The other thing is, of course, I'm doing all this in completely cheaty mode from external view. However, in a monoscopic screen, there's no way you can really judge distance, not very effectively. It's very hard. Of course, everybody does it in games. But if this was a virtual reality stereoscopic application, they would at least give you that ability to judge depth. So that is with tug. Is there a way I can change the vessel? No. So that's with the tug. Let's try and cruise in here with the offshore support vessel, the OSV. I'm going to pause it again for you. Oh. So, right, let's change that vessel out to the Odysseus. Start in the same place. And I'll just pause while you look. Alright, here we are in this nice OSV. Again, let's see. Okay, it does remember per vessel, these view settings. So we're just going to bring it into this little dock over here. You can't see it, there's a dog leg in here. So let's just move that and sync these. I think the real pro would be able to use these thrusters obviously independently. Let's see. But this video again is just to highlight the differences in the physics models and the weight and the momentum and the inertia that these vessels have. So you can see here we've spooled up the engines 75%, 78%, and it's only just started to move. So you can just about see that from the helm position. Hopefully these get some screens in here. Again, open bridge. If you're listening, guys, gives you loads of free sample images for this, but it'd be great if it implemented the open bridge graphic standards for vessels. So this is obviously going to take a bit longer. This vessel is significantly larger. It's going to take a while to get going. There's a really nice model here, as you can see. So these vessels are powerful. They have good maneuverability. Not as good as the tug, of course, but it's a powerful vessel, and it's got thrusters, as you can see here. So it'll be two independently rotating azimuthing, as you call it, azimuths. And it's got bow thruster here. Probably have two. You can see there if we zoom in, there's two symbols on the water line, so it's going to have powerful bow thrusters. These vessels are usually very maneuverable because they have dynamic positioning systems, of course. So we're going to cruise in here, full speed. You can see it's making a lovely wake here, a bow and a stern wake, which is really good. Again, the main reason I'm not going to do this from inside is that navigating is fully possible from the bridge, but maneuvering I think is a real hard number. So just so people understand how these work, these are two thrusters where I'm not too sure what the actual arrangement is, but the way the instruments are shown is, if you imagine the propeller axis being through the center of these things, and quite often actually in the newer ones the propeller is at the front of the pod. So you've got propeller going around in the front of the pod, and then the electrical motor usually behind that. You can see here I've already screwed this up. This has independent bow and stern thrusters. So azimuthing thrusters don't really behave. I'm going to try and bring it to a stop. It's not going to work. They don't really behave that well as rudders. So you need to have power going through them. So here we go. Impact. So that's why I shouldn't have really gone in here at full speed. No damage as far as I know in the model. So we'll just see how long it takes to recover from that backwards impact. So it's set us off at 8 knots, fully backwards. So would have expected that way, would have given it some rotation. Oh no, I've still got a bow thruster in, that's why. Yeah, so there's very good physics in terms of everything being sort of real time. So this is how long it would take this vessel to stop from going at 8 knots backwards, full thrust. Let's have full thrust forward. There's interesting things going on. So you get a slight rotation, I think, from the prop walk. So it would be good to understand what the prop walk is. So we've got nose, a bow rotation to starboard, so it suggests the props are walking the stern to port, but I do not see that. You'd think on a azimuthing twin prop vessel you'd have both props counter rotating, so you'd cancel that, but maybe not. Right, I'm going to learn my lesson this time and not come in full beans. So I think this is a percentage. It's definitely not a, I don't think it's an RPM. 2.5 knots. It's me playing too much GTA. Basically want everything to react like a video game. So here we go. We can do this from inside for now. 74%. And the timing for this is going to be really about starting the rotation of the vessel, accounting for the fact that it's going to drift or slide effectively towards that direction. So I'm going to start putting a bit of rotation in. Maybe my idea is like this, which will rotate and cancel out some of this forward movement. So of course we saw that in the tug, that the time it takes for these things to rotate is significant. So slow it down to about 3 knots. I'm not going to use my bow thruster at the moment. We do have independent stern and bow. Just want to get this to turn. A little bit of forward momentum. I do want it to come more into this bay. So maneuvering on the bigger the vessel, the more planning you need to do. That's it. So now I think I'm still moving forward too fast. I want to slow this down too. So I'm not really changing the props here. We've got about 60% power in. I should be able to control it quite well by just having that on and using well, forward and reverse isn't really a thing, so you can see I can only put the power off or the power on. It's not a reverse gearbox here. So I wanted to bring this down to 3 or even 2 now. I still feel like I'm going too fast. 2, 8, that's good. Doing a nice turn. Can use a bow thruster. Okay, so we've got a good rotation on now. So I just want a pure rotation from the aft and a little bit of thrust on the front. Less power here. More power there. Going to thrust the other way to get a bit more parallel. Less power here. So this is going better than the tug so far. A little bit more respect for it. And we can already get the thrusters around the other way to prepare to compensate for it. So they're going to take a while to rotate round. clever thing to do is maybe just to use these thrusters, which react a bit better. Right, we're going to hit on the back here. Right, not too bad, not as bad as the tug. Let's bring the bow in. So these thrusters reacting better than turning these the main props around. Let's get her in. I'm going to hit on the front. So again, there should be some kind of fenders. I've still got the aft swinging out, so that is on 0 throttle. Strange. 0 throttle is 0 throttle, right? Or not? Full reverse thruster. Not quite sure I'm convinced on the physics of all this kind of stuff, but I'm assuming it's all been done properly. But you can see here we've got full reverse thruster. It's been 100% for 30 seconds at least. Got no wash coming out of it. Maybe that needs to turn off. Nope, nothing coming out the aft. So we can just use the main thrusters here. Ah, one of our thrusters is off. Oh, that's right. Okay, I need to sync these. Thought I'd nailed it. Obviously not. Don't have any thrust going on in the back. If we run aground, oh, here we go, rotation. And again, prepare to thrust off to stop the back rotating too far in. No wind, calm. You can see those thrusters are still not all the way around yet. Only start to give it some power once the thrusters are in the right direction. Could be wind. Here's wind off the rear quarter. 4 knots, must be wind. Props spooling up. Wow. Wind is enough to hold it off, seems to be. Here we go. Right, I'm going to call that a day. So that is the OSV. You can see that because I've been able to sort of adapt to the speed of that. It's a little bit better. A couple of big crashes. And then we'll do now the inland waterways. So I'll pause again. All right, little surprise. I decided to change to this vessel. So this is the car carrier. Unfortunately, it has spawned me in a different place because it was too big for I can't remember where we were. I think it was up here. Maybe I clicked on the wrong one. Anyway, let's give it a shot. So I need to I remembered these things. That's good. Yeah. All right, so let's get it going. So this is, by the looks of it, a rudder, single prop, and a bow thruster. This is going to be a nightmare. Let's just see if we can bring her in alongside up here. I think that's a good enough challenge. Radar's looking good. See what we see with that. See all these cranes. Pretty cool, that radar. All right, we're on full. This is a significantly larger vessel. Not a beauty. So this is a kind of vessel where you'd most likely have tugs. Well, probably, definitely. But as you can see here, it is a self loader, it's got its own ramps here. Not really too sure what strategy people would use to get these in, especially if you get another ship. You'd have to use tugs. I think there's no other way but using tugs. So it's probably not the best of things to do, but let's have a bit of fun with it. So if I steer left, nose goes to the left, bow goes to the left. Oh, I've got a nice propeller beating sound in the cockpit. So again, this is a bit of an evergreen moment. Vessels are only really having steerage, especially if it's a rudder and a prop, when you've got movement over that rudder. So either from the prop or from the forward movement of the vessel. So this is a good test to see how it reacts. So we've got 11 knots. You can see here we have to hold the rudder over. We've got 23 degrees of rudder. Now it's turning left. Let's go full right. See how long it takes. So first of all, it takes the rudder. What's that? A good 20 seconds. Only now is the rudder on the other side. And then you can see our rotation speed here. And we go to the other side. So that's a good 30 odd minutes. So basically, I don't think there's really a chance of us getting this in properly here. I'll try. I feel like the way that I might be able to get it in is to back it in and then bring the bow in. But let's see. Let's just scrape alongside here. So I've still got 10 knots. Let's stop that acceleration at least. And if we're good, should be able to bring the the bows up to some point up here. Turn the rudder over and bring the rear in. Bring the stern in. So let's see if she straightens up. Still going 14 degrees. Zero throttle. Again, if I knew the direction of the prop, that could help. Let me just try and bring her in, coast her up. This is probably where you do this work from. Let's try this one from on board. What's that? The front of a very flat vessel. Very hard to judge the angle that we've got here coming in. This, by the way, is backwards the way that you drag here, I think. It's like it's dragging the screen. It's not kind of... Right, let's do hard over. Get some stern in. Oh. Now, only now getting aft RPMs. I need to go outside, sorry. Cannot do that from inside. Ooh, interesting. How bad are we going to smash? Impact. Bounce. Bow thruster to keep the front in. Again, tugs, you get your lines on. Your lines would help you to bring your stern and your aft in. Doesn't matter what I'm doing with the rudder now, because it's basically drifting. full aft RPM. We've got 4.2 knots to kill. No movement on the bow. All right. Nearly killed our speed. Our bow thruster, we're getting some visible indication that it's on. Yeah, as I said, big ship like this, pretty much impossible to maneuver into a berth. It will work now. I guess it will just go ahead with that bow thruster and it'll bring it in. We've got 1.4 knots and we're going to kill that. And the residual RPM there probably will kill that last knot. And then we've got the front getting thrusted in there. So you certainly can't rely on bow thrusters and all these kind of things on a very high windage vessel like this. We do have wind on the side, on the port side, so it's coming on, blowing on this side. 4.6 knots. That would make a significant difference of the speed that all of this stuff reacts. So you can see here we are getting the bow coming in now, and of course you get the stern kicking out. So this is where you need a tug, pretty much. Hard to do. I'm going to leave it like that, just in the sake of not making the video too long, but that was 3 different vessels, just showing you how the physics and I don't know if it's hydrodynamics or if it's just momentum physics that's really being used primarily here. I guess there's some element of hydrodynamics to the shape of these hulls and how they move. But I think in my initial video of Nautis Home from VSTEP, I was a bit critical of the physics, but as expected, the physics are very good. It's a very realistic simulation of ship maneuvering. So looking forward to more content and more capabilities in this application. That's all for now. Take care. Bye bye.